Welcome back to the Living ABSD podcast. I am your host, AB, short for ABSD, they, them pronouns. I am the founder and facilitator of Change with a Better Standard Direction. And it is such a joy to have you join me today in this episode of Presence in the Process. This podcast has the intention of helping teach people how to begin to create a new standard direction of living for their own lives through love, healing, and personal responsibility. I am grateful to be present with you here today as I look around my own space and tune into my body of what it means for me to be present in this moment with my own teachings and the wisdom of spirit coming through me as a channel, tuning into love and just being exactly where I am. As we start to align to this teaching topic today, I am going to invite us into taking 3 deep grounding breaths together. If you are driving, please do not close your eyes. But if you're not, the invitation is to close your eyes and to tune into your body with me. And then I'll set an intention and we'll dive in. All right, let's breathe. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. 2 more. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Last one. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. I call upon my divine spirit team and guides, angels, ancestors, God, universe, creator, source, invisible forces, rainbow spiral, and any beings that vibrate at divine love or higher who wish to enter into this podcasting space with me today. Being present with exactly where I am, exactly where the listener is, and knowing that that is a beautiful part of this process. Let this podcast find exactly who it is meant to find, when it is meant to find that person, and allow it to integrate into their life with curiosity, wisdom, joy, and playfulness, to knowing that being exactly where we are in the present moment is a gift that is worth receiving. And so it is. Presence. Something that I have continued in my life to have to be incredibly intentional with because it is so easy for me to revert back to old patterns of dissociating and moving through the motions. Our world runs so quickly that it is very simple for us to lose sight of where we actually are because we're constantly looking forward into what's next, or we're looking backwards into, oh, remember how good those times were, instead of being present with the times we're currently in now. And so I've had to really practice a lot of intentionality around presence in my own process so that I can really be like, I even think about myself last night as I am being in really beautiful conversation with a friend who is challenging me on admitting some of these things that are blocking me and creating kinks in my water hose of energy in my life. And like having to tune into my own presence, tune into my own body, tune into my own process to actually admit what I already know, but to be in alignment with opening myself up to the energy that is needed to move through it. Especially when I'm in contraction and things are really fucking uncomfortable in my body, I want to tune out because that is actually, I feel like it's serving me in the moment, but it's actually defeating the whole point of being in the process, especially in contraction. When we are moving through contraction and expansion, being in that tight, uncomfortable space of the contraction, there is a lesson there. And if we dissociate from it versus being present with it, then we are missing the lesson that is wanting to come through. And for me, I realize I've had to give myself a lot of grace there because oftentimes moving through the contraction comes with me having to be in that discomfort of not being fully present so that I can return back to it intentionally and learn the lesson and move through the contraction. I will say, it always is moved through quicker when I am being present than it is if I am disconnecting from myself. But again, I do both because I'm human. I'm in the process of all of this all the time, just as I am encouraging you to be. There are times, no doubt, when I am numbing out to get through, and it feels like that's the answer. When numbing out feels like it's the answer for you, listen to your body. And a majority of the time, if this is happening, it's a coping mechanism that has been acquired over time and may not be serving you. There are some people in some circumstances where numbing out is the way that survival is happening right now. That may be in personal life or in family life or in work life, wherever that's happening, it is a survival mechanism. We are all doing our best to survive at this time because the world is on fucking fire, and being present can sometimes feel like a daunting task. No fucking doubt. But I also know that it is still worthwhile, even when we are in situations where we are just surviving and not thriving. And just having the awareness of when you are not present can help you return back to presence, even in the numbing. I had a therapist tell me once, oh, she was like, AB, you are constantly chasing the next change, that you have forgotten to be present with the process that is currently unfolding. I thrive on change. I fucking love it. I'm like, ooh, yes, universe, thank you for this manifestation that I've been calling into my life for years. And I am grateful for it, but I'm going to move on and be like, what's next? It's now shining light on like that there's more that I want to come in, which, yeah, so real. But if I'm not being actively where I am in the moment that is currently unfolding, I'm missing the fucking point. I was so focused on wanting to move ahead to the next thing that I got lost in the experience of being in the current moment, not living in the presence of where you are right now. You miss the sweetness and the magic that is around all the time. Being able to tune in to the magic that is whatever that present moment is bringing you is so sweet. Again, I understand the need to disconnect in order to survive, which there are so many beautiful beings in this world right now that are living in that place. And if this is you, I encourage you to trust that finding presence in the moments that feel accessible is still worthwhile. I will mention that a couple of times in this episode because it is still worthwhile. I have found that a way for me to tune back into the present moment is to engage all of my senses: taste, smell, sound, touch, sight, and spirit. What happens when we tune into our senses? Well, we become in touch with a full embodied experience. We notice so much more than we might have that just passed by without even realizing. We are often too busy rushing from one place to the next or being so focused on time or commitments that we miss the sweet magic that is around us in the present moment. Our senses can help bring us back to where we are right now. There's an exercise that I did at my grad school intensive that really allowed me to tune into the presence through my senses. It was a gift that I carry now with me in every way that I can. Doing a meditation to tune into your senses can really bring you into the here and now. I encourage you, if you can, to do this outside on the earth. If you can lay on the earth and be able to invite in each sense one at a time. What is sight bringing in? What is sound? What is smell, touch, taste? Where is spirit guiding me in this moment? This is a powerful tool that can be sensed through and return you back to your body. Once you're tuned in, this slowly wandering around, getting up and walking slowly, seeing what you notice, what appears that might not have been there before because you were rushing through the moment, not present with the process. Allowing all of those senses that you've just intentionally brought online again to engage in where you are. Last time I did this practice, I was drawn to this little baby pink flower that was living under a bench. And I just stopped to say hello and to feel his very, very sweet little petals and to just be in the presence with my sight of this adorable little flower who was very cheeky. I went and I pet a juniper bush and felt the bristles, how bristly each branch was, and got to use my sense of smell to breathe in the sweetness of the branches. I found a seed pod on the ground that I decided to shake around, and the sound of it brought dance into my body. It brought this motion of play. I tasted some greens that were growing in the garden and listened to the flapping of flags. I felt the warmth of the sun on my skin and found abundance in the moment of being. Being able to engage all the senses opens up to the presence of the moment we are in. Where are you right now? Can you pause to notice something you didn't see in your space before? Or maybe something you have not paid attention to recently? Is there something you can smell to engage that sense? Or maybe a new fabric or something that you can touch that turns that sense online? How can you use your senses in this current moment that you are in right now, listening to me talk about presence, to help bring you further into this moment? Presence is a gift. The current moment you are in is the greatest gift. It is where life is happening right now. When we tap into presence, we're able to be active in the life we are living. I used to be so focused on what was potentially coming in the future, constantly trying to predict or quiet my worries, that I would lose the moment I was in. No matter how much predicting I would do, that the situations would never turn out like that, because you really, no matter how much you try, you cannot predict it. And when we try to constantly be thinking about the future instead of where we are now, we're literally losing where we are right now. We're living in a reality that does not exist. Or maybe you're with some old friends and you guys are reliving memories of the past. Like, that's beautiful. But you could be making new memories where you are right now. One of my friends likes to call me in for this when I have my thinking eyes on. It is noticeable when I am in my own thoughts versus being in the moment of where I am. This gentle nudge reminds me to come back to the moment I'm having. And if the thought is continuing, to come back to simply bring in the thought to the present moment instead of allowing it to just be in my brain without the intention it so clearly wants. Then I'm able to return back to being in the present moment. If a thought runs through my mind 3 times or more, I know that that thought wants to be vocalized. Our thoughts are constantly ruminating, thinking, being in thought. And there's nothing wrong with our brain being our brain and being exactly designed and working the way that it wants to work. But when we allow those thoughts to take us out of where we are versus being in the beauty of connection with the moment we're living in, we lose the gift. The current moment is the only moment we are actually ever fully living in. Being able to be present in the process of your own life is filled with magic that is constantly unfolding. You know, it's amazing. I'll be on a walk, and I used to distract myself when I was walking, and I would play an audiobook or like do something on my phone or just like try to bring myself out of where I was. And when I started to tune into what I was doing, started to tune into how my body felt while I was moving, started to be present with, oh, look, that bird just appeared. It wasn't there a moment ago, and now it is. And I can hear its bird song, and I can see it in the tree, and I can notice its fine details. It brings me into the magic that is constantly unfolding, things that we just cannot predict. That magic is part of the process, the presence of the process. Being able to tune into the current moment of your own journey, navigating whatever is happening, sends a signal out that you are comfortable with being exactly where you are. Being in gratitude for the moment, opening yourself up to trusting that you are exactly where you're meant to be, accepting where you are. If you know my work, some of these are very similar to titles of episodes for this podcast. And there are some really beautiful teachings that have channeled through around these topics, and go and expand in those further, of learning how to accept where you are, being in gratitude, opening yourself up to trust. Presence is potent. It is potent. Being in spaces with other people who are present with where we are and not distracting with devices or living into the list of the other things that then need to get done, but actually being where you are together is a life I love to live, a life I invite you into for yourself and the people around you. It's a gift to be truly enlivened by the moment you are in. There is something so special when a person that you are with gives you their full presence. And it is in my full alignment now that I've learned how to be present in a space, that to gift my full self to people when I am in that space. And when I find myself not wanting to be present in that space, I ask myself, am I here out of obligation, or am I here because I want to or because I need to be? And if I feel like I am obligated to be there, or maybe I'm just exhausted and I'm done and I have no energy left to give, and so I'm no longer being able to be present because I'm just really in my own experience, then I will leave a room or a space and go do what I need to do to take care of me. Because if I'm not able to be fully present where I am, it is a disservice to me and to the people around me, because I'm not living into that moment with those individuals, and they deserve that. And so do I. What can you do today to return back to the present moment? When I'm taken out and needing to return back, I will start to name things in the room I see, or take a deep breath and see what I'm smelling. Maybe I will engage in a self hug or touch something in the space that brings me back into where I am. Because oftentimes, if I am needing to return back to the present moment, I am not fully connected with my body. So, what can I do to help circulate some energy to bring me back into my body, so that I can be where I am? What is happening in the heart and mind connection that is taking me out? What needs to happen to return me back? These are questions that I try to engage with when I am noticing that I am not present. Sometimes I leave a room, or I'm done with an event or an activity, and I'm like, oh, wow, I did not realize that I was not present through that whole thing. I was just going through the motions. And I now know myself enough and know my alignment enough that, like, if I am not able to be somewhere and engage with that space, that afterwards it is coming up for me to notice that, like, something else is going on inside of me that I need to be looking at and navigating. And that I use as an opportunity to information gather to help me show up more authentically the next time. This is not a perfect process. No part of being human is a perfect process. But the more that we can engage with these practices, the more they strengthen inside of ourselves. And it gives us opportunity to inviting them in, so that we can be more authentically ourselves every time we try to show up. the more that I engage with this, the more that I can tell when I am doing something that I don't want to be doing and should just leave. When I am not in my presence of my full body experience, the embodiment that I want to carry when I am in a space. But that takes practice. And it's something I'm still practicing, something I show up to each and every day. But also, I'm so human in, and it's imperfect. It's part of living in a human embodiment. If you do not enjoy the current moment you're living in, do you have a choice of being there? There are some spaces that we do not always have a choice in every moment we are in, but recognizing when you do not will help tell your system what is out of alignment because you do not feel safe to be fully present there. I had an experience recently where I was not able to be fully present in this meeting, and I was finding myself in judgment, which does not happen often for me. I have worked a lot with judgment, especially projecting onto other people. I still have judgment within myself that I am working on. And I found myself not being able to be present there because I was just so disconnected. And this space had new leadership, and it was the first time I was interacting with that new leadership in this format. And I was just realizing that this new leadership was very out of alignment with me, and that I was not able to be present when this person was in power, which meant that I needed to make a change so that I could align with what I needed. And so that meant that I am taking a step away from that group this year because it is not in my alignment with how that person holds space and teaches. And so I am choosing me and my presence so that I can be more authentically in my experience, which then opens up room for new spaces to come in that are energetically safe for me to be present in. Life is a gift, and so are you. So, how can you show up to the gift of the presence for the process? It is actively unfolding in front of you. I like right now, as I'm recording this, there is a cat meowing at my door. It is the cute little meow, and it is part of the presence of this process for me. It's so interesting. It's like I am engaging with a different sense while being in my own experience of teaching here, but acknowledging that there are things that happen outside of ourselves that we can't control that might try to take us out of the presence, that might try to color our experience, but being able to even just acknowledge it, like this cat that's her cry is getting louder and louder as I am finalizing my last words in this episode. It's just, it's funny to me to experience presence in many different ways. And it is part of the process that is unfolding constantly and being in the gift of that. Wow. I love you. This was fun. Yeah, the invitation today is to tune in to yourself and the present moment of where you are in new with new eyes, with new sight, with new ways of holding yourself in the moment. With that, go out, love loudly, be your most beautiful and authentic self. The world needs you as you. The unique thumbprint that you have to offer is a gift. Be awesome. And if you have not yet participated, if you are not yet familiar with A Better Standard Direction and the work that we do, this movement that we are a part of, please go check us out at abetterstandarddirection.com. I encourage you to send me an email with your thoughts or with ways that you want to connect, cross-pollinate at absd at abetterstandarddirection.com. Check out all of our different offerings, the one-on-one work, Catalyst, the Awakening program, and all of these different ways to get involved with how it aligns with you in this present moment. I love you. Till next time. Bye.